So the cage is here. We've got 3 different groups. I've got 34 mice all together, and they are distributed amongst 7 cages. So these are the larger groups. Each one of these cages has 9 to 10 mice in it. So this group is my Percy group. There's little Leo. Leo lives here with his girls, and he's a friendly, cuddly little guy. Hi, Leo. Hello. He's always very friendly and very interactive. He's always been a sweet, easygoing little fella. And his 2 girls, his 2 girls are Summer and her sister Snow. And Snow had a whole litter of babies. This summer, a friend of mine, he brought a mouse who had been found running free on the streets of Las Vegas. And he brought him all the way up to the Yukon and allowed him to spend a week with Snow. And he made Snow pregnant, and then 3 weeks later Snow had 6 little babies. She had 1 boy and 5 girls, and this is Snow, and every single one of her babies looks exactly like Percys, the dad. So these are all my Las Vegas mice. They're unfortunately a little bit more on the skittish side because Snow and Summer are a little bit skittish, but it's not bad. They're just not that interested in people, but they're beautiful, and I just love my Percys. They're all little Siamese. Oh, hi, Snow. Snow's actually becoming quite sociable in her old age. She's not bad. I was a little bit hopeful because I often bring treats. So the Percys are almost impossible to tell apart. They each have a name, but don't ask me who's who. I've got a chart. They have very, very faint cream markings, cream and white markings. Like this one here, she's the darkest, so this one is Pia. And Pia's actually quite an aggressive little mouse. Let's see if she'll do it. She can become kind of protective over her cage. But no, she's just hoping for treats. Oh, no, I got a little nip. No, she's just hoping for treats. I'll give them treats later. And I wonder if we can get a shot of everybody because they all look so similar. They have a brother called Percival. He's been neutered now, but I tried to integrate him with his sisters, but his sisters and his mom tried to kill him despite being in neutral territory. So they're quite an aggressive little lot. So I put Percival in with the old girls, and they've accepted him really well. So he's doing really great with them, which is a bit of a shame. I was hoping I could integrate him back in with his family, but I don't think it's going to be possible, at least not for now. I have to wait until everybody mellows a little bit. But right now, everybody's feisty, active, and full of energy. Yeah. And then there's Leo, and he's a very proud male of this little group of females. He's a wonderful mouse. He's really good at raising all the babies. They actually did have another litter. Summer had a litter, and Summer is so shy that I don't think she has even come out. She's hiding somewhere. But she did have a litter of 4 babies. But and Percival was the dad. But for those, I took them out once they were 4 weeks old, because I'm hoping that if they're in with a group that is more relaxed with humans, they'll grow up a little bit more relaxed. But so far, they're still pretty skittish. Except for the male, Charlie. He's starting to show signs of actually being quite a cuddly little guy, but he's reserved and shy. It's kind of neat with these little guys. They're much smaller than my Yukon mice, and they're also much slimmer. And oh, Summer's come out finally. There's Summer, very shy. And it's like different regions of North America have different types of domesticated mice. So up north here in Canada, we have big chunky mice and a lot of long-haired mice. So they are better adapted for cooler temperatures. And then in Las Vegas and San Diego in California, they have these much smaller mice that are much slimmer, and that's better for being in hot temperatures. So there's regional differences. I'm just guessing, but that's my guess, why the little Percys are so much smaller. And also explains, a lot of people have said to me, wow, your mice are big. And I always thought it was just film close, that's why they seem big. But now I actually realize my mice are kind of big. And that's because they're northern mice. They have to be big to stay warm. And I'll move on to the next cage. And this is the largest cage. And I'm hoping someday I'll have less mice than I have right now. And then these two far cages will be the main cages where they live. And then the center one will become a playground. But right now it is housing, I think, 10 little mousies. And this is Brampton's lot and Trixie's lot. And this group has quite a few very friendly little mice. Like this little girl right here. She is awesome. Brampton and Trixie had some babies, but unfortunately I bred her a little too late, so only 3 of her babies survived, but all 3 of them are just the most awesome little mice. Like super, super friendly, very confident, very smart. So I'm very grateful for those 3. I just wish they could have been more. And then this is Ella with her kids. That's Sadie. And Ella's children have all become very, very chunky. Ella is huge. Everybody's hoping for treats. Hoping for treats. So this little lot, hard to get rid of their little Velcro mice. So this little lot also has Summer's babies in here. Oh, hello, he always has to go check. And usually I get bitten first. No, he's got something in his mouth, he can't bite me. He usually has this little routine where I get either punched or nipped at, and then everything's good. Just let me know who's boss. This one here is Jade, and we have 3 youngsters in here. We put Summer's girls, her lot in here, so that they are with more confident mice, and hopefully will become more confident. So here's one of them. This one is Velvet, and Velvet's a really light cream color with black eyes. But she might still become a Siamese, because the Siamese comes later. They always, at first, they don't have the Siamese markings, and then with age they come. Oh, hi guys. You guys are all hoping for something. Friendly little girls and boys. This little guy just wants to... Oh, he's not going to bite me. He's just going to check me out. He's a little bit nervous with him. Yeah, but he's a sweet guy. He just has to let me know that he is the alpha male in this little mousery. My guess he's a little bit more aggressive because he was left a male for a very long time, because I wanted to use him for breeding, because he has the best babies. Midas is his son. So he has super babies. But at the end I had to have him neutered, because a life as an unneutered male is not a good one, because they have to be alone, they're frustrated, and it's hard on them. So he's so much happier now that he can be with all his little girls. Sadie's still chewing on me. Sadie, I'll give you guys treats later. This is what open concept mouseries do. You end up with mousies like this, because they feel very confident, they can leave if they want to. It's all up to them, and they can tame down really quickly this way, because open concept mouseries make for the happiest mice. I have hopes for this little Midnight. Midnight's starting to show a lot of interest in people, so I think she's going to become just like everybody else within a month or so. Midnight will be a friendly little thing. Velvet may also come around, but I don't think Aurora will. Aurora is just way too shy. Aurora is showing her daughter, Jasmine, who's boss. Even with stable groups like this, you occasionally have little tussles. You have loud squeaks and somebody's being mean to somebody. But it's just a little bit dominant struggle. Once they sort it all out, everybody's best friends again. There you go, guys. love this little mouse. She's got the same gold iridescent that Midas has. But giving birth was hard on her, so she's used to be quite a chunky little thing. Now she's much thinner. But she seems healthy in all other ways and happy. And she enjoyed being a mum very much. And she gave me 3 wonderful little babies. So it was worth it. At the same time that Trixie gave birth, Jasmine gave birth too. But Jasmine had a hell of a time. And I actually had to pull her babies out of her one by one. They were all dead. And I didn't think she'd survive. But I gave her antibiotics for about 10 days. And she's fine. She became very skinny for a while, but now she's back to being her chunky, happy, healthy self. So I was just really lucky with her. So basically, I was going to breed them much younger, but I had this film project hanging over me, so I wanted to use them as the stars. But the film project proved way bigger than I ever thought it would be, and it's going to take at least another year to get it done. So then I still wanted to breed them because they were such wonderful mice, and I thought, oh, they're just over 6 months old, it should be all right. But it wasn't. And luckily with Trixie and with Jazz, hey, you're biting me. Jasmine, they were fine, and they're still alive, but Angel was also pregnant, and she didn't make it, and I feel terrible about that. So basically, lesson learned, never breed a mouse who's over 6 months old. They have to always be bred when they're young, otherwise problems will arise. And 6 months is pretty much the cutoff, because Snow and Summer had their babies before they reached their 6-month-old birthday, and they had no trouble at all giving birth or anything like that. But these ones did. I'm very lucky still have Trixie and to still have Jasmine. And I really feel bad about Angel. She was wonderful, and I would have loved to have had some of her babies, but I know now. It's the problem with animals. You learn hard way. I used to always think the cutoff was 8 months, but it isn't. It's 6 months. They do like these baby food cheesies. Little girl's such a happy thing. She's always popcorning. Little Midnight, you're going to be an awesome mouse. It's only going to be a matter of time before you become as friendly as everybody else. Hi. That's one such a pretty little thing. Hi, Sadie. And Jasmine has become quite a little chunker mouse. Very chunky. Okay, guys, I will leave you. So this is where Brampton and his troop live, and they have like the best cage actually, but they're the friendliest, and I love interacting with them, so I kind of gave them the best cage. But I'll probably, next to cage cleaning, I might move them around so that the others get to have the big cage sometimes too. So here are all my Oldsters, and that's little, this one here is actually the youngest here. That is Celine, and she is Amara's sister. So she's not that old. Amara's about, I would say, 11 months old, maybe 10 months old, somewhere there. She's always been an alpha mouse, but always a bit on the shy side. Nothing like Amara and Faye. But she's a pretty little thing. And she's part of the Oldsters. There is Millicent, and Millicent's really neat. She used to be a black mouse, but as she gets older, she gets all these little grey mottles on her. So she's become sort of a Appaloosa mouse, a snowflake Appaloosa mouse. She's a bit shy though. Oh, and there's Percival. And unfortunately, he couldn't be with his own troop because they tried to kill him. So Percival is now in with the Oldsters, and he is hugely popular with the girls. And he's actually really happy to be in here with all these little girls. But they're all a little bit on the shy side because these are Oldsters. I had them in the other mousery for the most part. And it was just early days of mouse breeding, not that experienced, didn't handle them much when they were babies. So they're all a little bit more on the shy side. We have actually 2 neutered males in here. We have Percival, and we also have Azrael. But Azrael, I don't see him anywhere. I have to keep an eye on things because Azrael is very, very neutered, so he's very easygoing, very calm. But Percival has been, at first there was no problems, and now Percival's getting a little bossy. So hopefully Azrael's okay. I'll have to check on him. Azrael's actually handicapped. There he is. Azrael actually has a handicap. About, he's an old mouse now. So maybe 10 months ago, a year ago, he suddenly became paralyzed. And his whole back end was completely immobile. And I wasn't so sure if he'd make it, but I gave him, put him in a hospital tank, gave him antibiotics, and he actually regained the use of his back legs. For the most part, they're still a little paralyzed, but he can get around really well, and he's actually quite a happy little guy. And he's very sweet, he gets along well with everybody. And so he's learned how to live with his handicap, and I think I was having quite a few paralyzed mice at that time. That was when they were in the old studio. Some of them were paralyzed because of inner ear infection, and with those, they just start rolling over and over and over, like doing somersaults, and then you just have to give them antibiotics, and for the most part, they'll recover. And then I was having another kind of paralysis, and that was what Azrael had, that they just suddenly couldn't move their back legs anymore. And I have a feeling the cause of it was when I had those large wire wheels. The mice absolutely loved those wire wheels because a whole bunch of them could go on them at the same time. Yeah, the two males are starting to recognize each other, even though they're both neutered. So I'll have to keep an eye on it. I've had neutered males get along before, and it's not bad. So we'll just make sure everything's okay. So anyways, and then I noticed one day that I think it may have been Leo was on the wheel, and he's a big fat mouse, and he got stuck. So basically, there were a few mice running on the wheel. He tried to get on, and then the wheel was designed in such a way that it had bars on either side, and he got stuck in them. And because there were two mice running, they were heavier than him, so he couldn't stop it, and he got kind of squished in there. And he managed to get out, and he was fine. But that started making me wonder whether or not this paralysis was caused by that type of an accident with the wheel, that some of them weren't lucky, and they would actually injure their backs. So that's why I don't use those wheels anymore. I only once ever had an issue of bumblefoot, and that was a male that was unneutered and really obsessive with running on wheels. And otherwise, I've never had a problem with bumblefoot. I think it's more of a problem with hamsters, because they're more obsessive about running, and they're heavier. Mice, if you give them a really big cage like this, they'll only occasionally run on the wheel, and if you keep it clean, with the wire wheels, you're not going to end up with bumblefoot. But you can, if you have more than one mouse, you can end up with that mouse getting stuck. So now I use these solid wheels. But these solid wheels also have problems. It's difficult to get one that's big enough. These are almost a little bit too small for the mice. Even though they're actually meant for hamsters. They have one version that's even smaller, that's designed for mice, but it's way too small, because you don't want their backs to get bent too much. So I need to actually I've been looking online to see if you can get wheels that are bigger. I've bought chinchilla size wheels for them, but the mice aren't heavy enough to move them. So for now we've got these. They do come with a problem though. If you have an unneutered male, and they obsess about running on it, and you don't clean the wheel enough, then when they'll start scratching their ears, and then because they have dirty feet, infection sets in, and that's what happened to Midas. And these wheels get dirty very, very quickly, especially if you have an unneutered male. So Midas ended up with a skin infection of his ears, and it can actually cause a mouse to die. They can literally scratch their ears right off. And it's really hard to treat, but I finally found a medicine that actually works. I'll just show you what it is. Oh yeah, this one doesn't show the label very well. Let's have a look. Yeah, here it is, Maxitrol. And that works wonders. So this is the first medicine I've ever found that actually really works quickly and effectively with itchy ears that are being scratched right off and are raw and infected. So it's very important to keep these wheels clean, because otherwise you can get that itchy ear thing going. Ever since I switched exclusively to these wheels, I haven't had a single paralyzed mouse, whereas at one time I was having quite a few and it was really worrying me. But now, no more paralyzed mice. Percy likes his wheel. Little Percival. He's actually a sweet little guy. He's the fattest one of the lot, Olivia. She's so fat, she's bloated. Yeah, some mice stay slim all their lives, and other mice, well, come little chunkers. Yeah. There's genetics involved. Uh-oh. Hey, what was that about? For some reason, Percy has never liked Olivia. And he started picking on her right from the beginning, so. But he doesn't really hurt her or draw blood, so I'm not too worried. But he's not nice, is he? No, not nice at all. And then other times you see him cuddled up next to her and he seems to really like her, so I don't know what goes through their little tiny minds sometimes. This one's really sweet. This one in here is Maisie. She's one of my oldest mice, but she's a real sweetheart. Hi. So as to water and food, I always use dishes because I don't trust water bottles. I've had too many fail. And if you put the dishes up high like this, then they tend not to put their bedding into it. And then for food, I haven't quite figured out the food situation yet. I'm trying out all sorts of different brands until I find one I like the most. And eventually I want to have a nice pellet diet for them as their main food. And then once a day they'll get a little bit of a seed mix and some other healthy foods like kale and mashed potatoes, and then treats, and then they get treats like baby food cheesies. Yeah. So they'll get supplements, but the main food will be a pellet diet and a bit of seed mix. And so far, I'm trying Supreme Science Selective for rats and mice. They used to have one that was just for mice, and I loved that food, but it's really hard to get hold of. So now I'm trying this kind, and they don't like this kind near as much as the one made for mice, but they like it more than other types of pelleted food. So we'll see how it goes. There's little Maisie, chunky little Maisie. Maisie. There, once I figured out the food situation, I will tell you guys all about it. And I'm not quite done with the top part yet. As you can see the light shining through along the top. So I have to put some kind of molding up there to make sure that that doesn't happen, because it'll look a lot better. And I also want to build more new furniture for the inside, and I've got all sorts of ideas of what to build. I want to have it a sort of a barn theme, because I used to keep horses and chickens, and I love barns. And mice remind me a lot of horses in some ways. They're beautiful, and they have the similar sort of way of being. You have to really earn their affection. It doesn't just happen. But once you earn it, it's nothing quite compares. And I think they'll look really good with a sort of a barn theme. I've already got a bit of a barn theme, but I'd like to become much more elaborate and have lights inside and maybe some plexiglass huts so I can see what's happening inside and get some better footage of them sleeping. So that's all in the future. I'm going to have a lot of fun. That'll be next summer. A lot of fun building sort of a barn setup for each of these 3 cages. So that is the Main Mousery. I'll try and get it right up there so you can see it all. So that's the Main Mousery. Brookie's back in, down there below. Plunk, plunk. All of this is very boring, hey, Brookie? Old dog, aren't you? Do you want a cookie? Cookie? Brookie, want a cookie? Should we go get you a cookie? See, I have cookies in here for her. Let's see if I can go get one for her. Brookie, want a cookie? Brooke? Do you want a cookie? Do you want a cookie? Cookie, 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 cookie. Yeah, there you go. That's the main reason why she likes to be here. Good cookie. 10 years old now. Time goes so fast. Such a good